Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing the topic of mensuration, and many of you may know it from a different name, but this is basically where you have to find the area of 2D and 3D shapes. Now, in this case, you're going to have two or three things that you take in mind. First thing will be your area. Let's write that here. Now, what is area? Area is basically, you have different formulas for area. There are different formulas for area. For each shape's area. Now, next thing that you want to know is a very key thing, that is a perimeter. Okay, first thing, the second thing is a perimeter. Now, perimeter is going to be the same for all of them. Okay, perimeter is going to be the same for all of them. What does that mean? That means this formula for the perimeter is going to be sum of all sides. So let's say, for example, let's say if I have a triangle. Okay, let's say I have a triangle here. Someone says find the perimeter. The perimeter would be, let's say this side is A, this is B, this is C. The perimeter would be A plus B plus C. That's the perimeter that you want to know. Now we're going to see the formulas for area for different shapes. For the first shape, let's say you have the basic one, that's a square. That's going to be area is equal to length times length. That's for that. Next you have a rectangle. Okay, that's going to be length times width. Let me write area. Area is going to be length times width. Now remember, the area's formula is different, but the perimeter is the same for all of them. That is sum of all sides. So if you have let's say a square has four sides, so it has four lengths. You're going to do length plus length plus length plus length. So it's going to be sum of all sides. That's for rectangle. Third, you have, let's say, a triangle. For a triangle, the area's formula is half into base into height. Now what's the base and what's the height? Okay, we're gonna go by this step by step. Let's say we have a triangle here. Okay, that's a triangle. Now this is gonna be your base. Let me cross mark it here, and with this one as well. Okay, now from here, okay, this is your height from the top, from the bottom all the way to the top. That's your height, and the bottom line, that is your base. So you're gonna have half into base into height. Now one thing to keep in mind for a triangle, the base cannot always be this, okay, and the height cannot always be this as well. It's going to differ based on what you take as your base. For example, let's say if in this case, this is the first scenario, okay, this is the first scenario, let's mark it with the different one. Okay, that's the first case. Now the second case would be in the over here, that if you have the same triangle, okay, same triangle, we're going to draw it here. Okay, and you take this as your base, then this is going to be your height. You mark that. So the height and the base, the height differs on the base. So that it depends which, you could say, side you take as your base. Now, in this case, if you look at this side, that's your base, and that from the bottom, because the base basically is the bottom line, okay, the bottom side that you have. For example, let's say if you put a cardboard box down on the floor, the part of the cardboard box that's touching the floor, that is your base. So, and the height would be from the base all the way to the top where the cardboard box ends. That's what you have. Now in this case, let's say you have a triangle, that's your base. The height would be from the bottom all the way to the top. So that's what you have to know. Then the next example, let's say you make it here. The third one, if you have the same triangle again, but you take the third side as your base. Let me fix this. Now, let's say you take this side as your base now. Okay, then this side, if I take this one here, yes, from here to here, that is going to be your height. So remember, these things vary based on what you take as your base. So the height will always depend on where the base is. And those are the three cases that you want to know. Now that's for triangle. So these are the three formulas that we just learned. Area for a square is length times length times length. Rectangle, area, length times width. Triangle, area is half into base into height, and base and height. And let me also write that down here so that we can be clear on this. Base, not base. We can take different sides of triangle as base. And we will calculate height based on that. By measuring distance from top to bottom, or bottom to top, from top to bottom, or vice versa. Yes. Now we have the second type of triangle. Now how is this different from the first one? Let's first draw it, then we can see. The second type of triangle is going to be something like this. We're going to have the base, then we're going to have this line and this. Now this is not a normal triangle. How is this different? Let's see. First of all, you're going to take this as your base in this case. Okay, that's my base. Let's first mark it. But then this should be my height. If I show you from here to here, that is my height. But how do I know the height in this case? In this case, let us first mark the height. But before that, what we're going to do is we are supposed to go a bit forward. I'm going to explain it. We're going to first go a bit forward, okay? And this is what's called our baseline. This is what is called our baseline. Let's mark that. Then the height is going to be from here to here. Let's mark that. That is our height. So this is our base that we're going to take, and we remember we said that the height depends on the base. So if this is our base, I cannot take from here all the way to here because that's not the top. It's going to be from the bottom to the top. So I can go a bit forward and I can say, okay, this is my baseline that I draw here, and I go from the bottom all the way to the top like this. So I know what's the exact top, because I cannot go from this base, this one, because let's say if I go from this end, it's going to go till here. That's not the top. If I go from here, if I go from this side, it's going to go till here. That's not the top. So I'm going to draw my baseline to know, okay, this is the top, so I have to go from here to here, top to bottom or bottom to top. That is my height. And one thing, do not be confused by this. For example, let's say you have a question, okay, and the questioner says that the base, let's say, is equal to 4, and this baseline, let's say from here to here, that is 2. From here to here, from this side, let's say I mark this, from here to here, that is 2, and the height is equal to, let's say, 6. And they say find the area. Okay, the area was, we just discussed, half into base into height. Now that will be half into base. What do I take as my base? What do you think? Should I take 4 or 2 or 4 plus 2? Remember, the base is what the actual shape has at its bottom. Yes. So this is the base from this side to this. This is not your base. That's your baseline, you could say, but that's not your base. So the base is going to be 4, and height is obviously 6. That's going to give you 24 over 2, and that's going to be 12. Now next is a question that we may get. What if I don't have base or height, okay, or maybe both? How do I calculate area of triangle? Now, how do you think? Now remember, you have two formulas of triangle. First formula was, let me first write it down. First formula of triangle is half into base into height. Now you have a second formula that says half into AB sine C. What does that mean? Okay, let's go to the basics again. Let me first draw a triangle and see what do we mean by this. Let's say I have a triangle like this, okay? Let's say I have this. Now, I don't know the height. Well, let's say the questioner actually gave me, let's say they gave me this. They said that this angle is, let's say, 66 degrees, okay? And this side is, let's say, 12, and this side is 13. And the questioner says, find the area. Now, how do I find it? To do this question, I will first check, okay, can I use my first formula, half into base into height? I cannot. Okay, I'm going to use my second one, that's half into AB into sine C. Now, how do I use that? AB basically means the two sides that are outside the angle, and C is an angle here, okay? C is an angle. Let me first write it down so we don't get confused. A and B are sides that are neighboring angle C. On the left and right, that would be a bit easier. That on the left and right of angle C. Okay, so I can see that my angle I'm going to take is 66 because that's the only one that I have. So the two neighboring sides would be 12. Okay, this is my A and this is my B, and it does not matter if you take this as your B and this is your A. It's the same thing because you're multiplying. So it's going to be 12 into 13 into sine of 66. Let's see that. Let's see what do we get. We're going to have half into 12 into 13 into sine 66. Sine 66 is going to be something 0.913. Multiply that by 12, then by 13, and then simply divide by 2, and you get your answer as 71.256. That is our answer for the area, okay? So we have two different ways on how to calculate this. Now let's see an example. Someone says find area of the triangle and perimeter. Triangle is an equilateral triangle. Now how do we find the perimeter? I thought for the perimeter we needed to know all the sides. Yes, but we know one key rule here. I'm going to get to that. Let's first find the area. Area, okay, I'm going to see my first formula. I can use half into base into height. Base, that's my base here. That's my height. I can use that. So half into 13 into 16. Yes, so I'm going to use, let's say 13 into 16 is, let me see, 13 multiplied by 16. That's going to give us 208. Then 208 divided by 2, that's going to give you 104. That's your answer. Now, for the perimeter, there's one thing that you have to know. That they said that triangle is an equilateral triangle. Now, what does that mean? What that basically means is that all the sides and all the angles of this triangle are equal. All sides and all angles are equal. Let's start on the side over here. equilateral triangle and angles equal. Now, that means that if one of the sides is 13, this is 13, this is also 13. The pyramid would be sum of all sides, so 13 plus 13 plus 13. Okay, 13 plus 13 plus 13. That would give you a total of 39. So that's your answer. So we need to know the different types of triangle as well. I recommend watching a different video of trigonometry that's going to teach you what different types of triangle are, and you can also use that in this case as well. Now we have another question where it says find area of triangle, and we've been given the second type of triangle. Now we're going to first write our formula, half into base into height. Now what is the base? Is 10 the base? Is 13 the base? 16 the base? 16 is the base. Okay, so half into 16, and our height they have given us as 13. Okay, simple. Multiply 13 and 16, we get 208, and again 208 divided by 2, that is 104 for the area. The next shape we have is a rhombus. Okay, let's first write it down. Next shape is a rhombus. Now a rhombus is something like this. Now, and do not mistake this for a square or a rectangle, okay? It's something like this. Yes, something like this. That, okay. Then we're gonna write. Now, if someone says, what's the formula for the area of the before that, we have another shape. Let's first mark that. And these should have the same formula for the area, okay? So we're gonna first write them down. That's gonna be a rhombus, and fourth shape, a parallelogram. Now, how are these two different? I'm going to explain and I'm going to show you why and how are these different. Now, a parallelogram is going to be something like, it's going to be similar to a rhombus but a bit longer, okay? Similar to a rhombus but a bit longer. So, this is it. Then, same thing again, let's mark it. So we're going to have this as our base, and this as our base, then this as our height, then this as our height. Okay, let's mark those. So this is going to be my base for my rhombus, and this is going to be my height for my rhombus. Same thing here, but what's the difference? You can see the parallelogram is a bit longer, but as I said before, these two have the same formula for their area. So let's write that. Have the same formula for area. Okay, and the area formula is again length, sorry, not length, base into height. Base multiplied by height, and same thing again. Let's say if you want the question to understand this a bit better. Okay, now we've been given another question where they say find the area of a rhombus, where the base is 16, height is 12. Simple enough. Base into height, that will give me 16 into 12. Simple as that. I will get 192 as my answer. Now we have our next shape being a trapezium. We do have a lot of shapes, but it's not that difficult. We just have some formula that we need to memorize for the area, and then that's it. Now, let's see. Now, a trapezium is something like this. If I show you here, let's say first make it. Yes, like this. Now, What is the formula for the area? Let's first write down these sides here. This is A, this is B, and this is my height. This is my height. Why do I write A and B? Because the formula for the area of a trapezium is half into, not A into B, it is half into A plus B into height. Okay. Now why did I write them in a bracket? Because if I do not write them in a bracket, what's going to happen is these are going to follow the bond mass rules. So B is going to be multiplied with H and A is going to be multiplied with 1. So you're not going to get A plus B in this case. That's why we had to put them in brackets. Okay. Then let's say if you have, and remember, same thing here. Let me also add the rule here. Height varies based on position of A and B. Okay? Because in a trapezium height is distance from A to B. Same thing as before, but as we said before, that the height is from the base to the top. Okay? In this case, it is A to B or B to A, same thing. So if let's say, if we have a trapezium something like this, if I make something, let's say make a trapezium like this. I might not be exactly accurate, but let's say if we have a trapezium yes, like this. Then this is my A, oh sorry, this is my A, this is my B. Is this my height? Let me write it here. Let's say this. Is this my height? No. This is my height. From here to here, that is the distance from the top to the bottom. Okay, let me also erase and fix this one here. So remember that the height is relative based on A and B. Okay. Now, the last thing that we want to know is the circle. Now, the circle, the parameter may be a bit different. Now, it's the same thing, but just with a different formula. Now, let's write it down. So the formula for the area of a circle is going to be pi r squared. Now, what is r? We know pi. What is r? Okay, r is basically, if I write it here in the middle, from here to here, like from one end to the other end, you're gonna have d. Okay, one end to the other end, and then same. Let me also write it with a different so we can see. From one end to the middle of the circle is gonna be r. So let's write the rule that from one end to the other end of the circle in a straight line, yes, of a circle in a straight line is the diameter. From half, from one end to middle of circle in a straight line is the radius, or r is the radius. Okay, and one more thing, radius is half of diameter. Now that's that. Now we know the area, that is pi r squared. Now what about the perimeter? Now the perimeter is going to be a bit different. Let's write that here. The formula for the perimeter of the circle is 2 pi r. Okay? Now you may be asked, you may not be asked to find the perimeter, but you may be said to find the circumference of a circle, okay? To the circumference. So circumference and is the same as the perimeter. Same as. It's just for the circle. So let's write the final rule. Circumference is a fancy word for perimeter of circle. And that's it. Now the link to these notes are in the description, and if any one of you wants to book a 15-20 minute call with me to discuss your issues in math and how to solve them, we can. I'm going to leave my number in the description, and it's going to be completely free, no charge, and we can, let's say, we discuss them and find out what you need and how you need to get your grades better.